What to do, Primate Nation? It's your boy Joe Bam Bam back again with another vid. Goddamn. How y'all been? Hope you've been good, of course. Have you ever wondered the etymology of apes? No? What? Fuck you then. What are you even doing here? Oh, you just saw the title and passively thought, sure, why not find out? Okay, that works for me. All right, everybody, come on down, sit down, gather around. Now that we're all settled, let's dive in to the history of the subject and why we separate the classifications. The video inspiration for why I wanted to make this comes from the fact that chimps and bonobos, while being their own species, come from the same genus. And yet, when you think of how many great apes there are, popularly they're classified as 5. Why is that? Orangutans, gorillas, it's more than just one species of those. Don't worry, we'll get into it. And honestly, I think together we will uncover the mystery. Let's get into it. First things first, make sure to like and subscribe, as it does make YouTube realize that more than just me, Gutsick Gibbon, Crackback, and orangutan enthusiast love monkeys of all shapes and sizes. Without any further ado, let's ague. History. First things first, the first thing, the history of the naming. In the beginning of biology, great apes were often grouped with other primates or even mistaken as humans. Racism? No, they were mistaken by Africans themselves in the Congo, but also colonial racists. Regardless, it wasn't until the 18th century that scientists began to recognize apes as distinct from monkeys. The term ape itself originates from Old English apa, which is of Germanic origin, related to Dutch ape and German affe. It's probably not how you say it, but that's okay. The classification of all organisms began with Carl Linnaeus in the 18th century. He classified humans as Homo sapiens and placed great apes in the same family, but in different genera. Chimpanzees were classified as Homo troglodytes, orangutans as Homo sylvestris, and gorillas as Homo ferus. However, this classification was based more on physical resemblance than on evolutionary relationships. Then, Charles Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection revolutionized biology and our understanding of relationships between species. Darwin argued for a common ancestry among humans and other great apes. His idea laid the groundwork for re-evaluating the classifications of great apes. In the late 19th and early 20th century, advances in genetics, anatomy, and paleontology provided further evidence for the relatedness of humans and great apes. Scientists began to use these findings to revise the classification system. And by the mid-20th century, great apes were generally classified into the family Hominidae, which included humans, chimpanzees, bonobos, gorillas, and orangutans, the main 5 that we commonly know today. So that is the lead up to where we are now. Classification in biology is not static. It evolves as new evidence emerges. Ongoing research using advanced techniques such as comparative genomics continues to refine our understanding of the evolutionary relationships among great apes. For example, recent studies have shed light on the divergence times between different ape species and the genetic mechanisms driving their evolution. This excerpt from an article from phys.org, published in December of 2023, is one such study. Quote, an international team led by researchers at the University of Toronto has uncovered over 100 genes that are common to primate brains but have undergone evolutionary divergence only in humans, and which could be a source of our unique cognitive ability, unquote. That's pretty cool in my opinion. The study was part of the Human Cell Atlas, a global initiative to map all human cells to better understand health and diseases. And during the process, they came across this understanding that due to an ease of selection pressures, i.e. life became less deadly for our ancestors, it may have allowed genes to take on a higher level cognitive capacity. It's either that or the stoned ape theory. Kidding, of course. What this means exactly, of course, eludes my simple mind, but this off-topic tidbit works as a segue into the next subject. shall we? Chimps and Bonobos. From Emory University, quote, chimpanzees and bonobos are sister species that diverged around 1.8 million years ago as the Congo River formed a geographic boundary, and they evolved in separate environments. Bonobos and chimpanzees closely resemble one another physically, and they weren't recognized as separate species until the 1930s. Their behavioral differences are much more distinct though. While bonobos organize into female-led societies, chimpanzees are patriarchal. When bonobos encounter another bonobo group, they generally interact peacefully, unquote. I'm going to be making a video about parallels between the two species in a future video, so keep an eye out for that. But back to the classification, the interesting thing about the separation of the pangenus classifications, like just for us, for the history books, it happened a lot earlier than I thought, 1929. And with it came the name bonobo. The etymology of that name has quite the explanation. From Wisconsin National Primate Research Center, quote, the name bonobo is meaningless and is probably derived from a misspelling on a shipping crate going to Bolobo, Zaire. I mean, yeah, sure, why not? If you think about it, all names far back enough are meaningless. Spellings of names happened way later in history than the speaking of it, so a misunderstanding like this probably happened all the time. It's just funny this happened to like a proper layman species classification. As per the 18th century naming of chimps, they were still classified as troglodytes, but this time as pan-troglodytes. Bonobo's Latin name is paniscus. Now that we understand these two species, let's go over the other two main apes. Gorillas and orangutans. Gorillas and orangutans are classified into their respective genera, gorilla and pongo. And here comes the meat of the video, at least for me. The real nice moment. What moment is that, you may ask? Well, insofar as I understood it, from these images and a general understanding of how the biological community labels species, I always thought there were 5 great apes and 1 lesser ape. Apes are classified as tailless primates. Gibbons are small, so they're lesser apes. Then you got orangutans, gorillas, then chimps and bonobos, then humans. I also understood that there are different types of gorillas and orangutans, but I thought those differences were minor. I mean, if the differences were great enough to call them different species, then we would have a total of 8 great apes. 3 types of pongos, 2 types of gorillas, 2 types of pan, and 1 sapiens. So, since everything I saw, I guess and am seeing, says 5 great apes, I thought surely there wasn't that much of a big difference between the gorillas and orangutans. But guess what? For no particular reason, we just label things that way. I looked up how many apes there are, and now all of a sudden, Google is telling me that there's 8. The fuck is up with this whole 5 thing then? What gives? It's like the Pluto thing all over again. It's all just arbitrary. Why can't we label things correctly? Having an moment. Okay, so I tried looking all over the place for a reason as to why in the mainstream there are 5 great apes, and all I got that even kind of answers the question is a line from a Wikipedia article in Apes saying that there have been numerous revisions in classifying the term, quote, great apes. And that's it. But there are 8. So why don't we say 8? Or stick to the genus and just say 4? Why can't we pick a lane? Why, for the pangenus, do we be specific and say both? But then we just say gorilla and orangutan. Why? Why? I was desperate, so I turned to ChatGPT and asked why we make the chimp and bonobo distinction, and it had this to say. The classification of ape species is based on a combination of genetic, morphological, behavioral, and ecological differences. While chimpanzees and bonobos are classified as separate species due to significant behavioral and ecological distinctions, gorillas and orangutans are grouped together at the species level with further differentiations into subspecies or distinct species based on geographic, morphological, and genetic variation. It just said distinct species. Sounds like ChatGPT just thought I was asking if gorillas and orangutans are different. Like, yeah, I already know that, chat. Come on. Anyway, there you go, folks. Really. Now, in conclusion, the history of classifying great apes, it's a testament to the iterative nature of scientific inquiry, or just motherfuckers making shit up. No, it's more than that. From early classifications based on physical resemblance to modern classifications grounded in genetic evidence, our understanding for these fascinating creatures has evolved significantly. And hopefully, as we progress and our knowledge deepens, we can have a little more clarity on how we list things. At the very least, we should expect further refinements to the classification of great apes. But yeah, thank you guys so much for checking this one out, as always. I appreciate you all to no end, and I hope you sleep well, fellow primates. Until next time, this has been Joe Van checking out. Ciao for now. See you in the next one. Peace!